Welcome to Real Time, Florida Sportsman. This week we're fishing the Mullet Run in the southeast section of the Florida Sportsman Forum.
It's time to find the shortest route to the hottest bite. We scan Florida Sportsman's regional forums for the best fishing reports, then travel to make real anglers our local guides.
Give me some of that!
Together we let you in on secret spots and hometown moves.
That's what I'm talking about!
Oh yeah, she's done for now.
This week we're in the southeast section of the Florida Sportsman Forum. We're in Stuart, Florida. We're following the Mullet Run. We discovered that these baits not only work out in the deep blue, but also in the tannic, brackish waters of the St. Lucie River. The dinner bell's just ringing. Oh!
All coming up on Real Time, Florida Sportsman.
Before daybreak, we met up with this week's guest host, Steve Butcher, aka Full Coverage, and launched the Triton. We're right in the middle of the Mullet Run here in Stuart. And when talking to Steve, checking out the weather, we knew we had an impending cold front. We were gonna have a couple hours to get offshore. Our plan was to net a load full of these mullet, head offshore and try to get a pelagic bite. After running around the river a little bit, we found some good schools of mullet. We netted probably 100 baits or so. And even while we were netting bait, you could see that this front was here. You know, the bands of rain had started, but we knew our window was gonna be short. We wanted to get offshore for that bite though. With this impending cold front, we had northwest winds, and clearing that St. Lucie Inlet, conditions weren't bad, but I knew the further offshore we got, conditions were gonna get worse. All right, southeast section, Florida Sportsman Forum. Steve Butcher, AKA Full Coverage. We're out here talking about prefrontal. This is literally it blowing through. We're gonna try to get on a little pelagic bite while we're out here before this weather gets too bad.
Yes.
Sails, dolphin.
Sails, dolphin,
Name it, you don't really ever know.
blackfin, wahoo, everything's kind of mixed in.
Well, it's blowing northwest right now. Literally, this is the edge of the front. We got out here, we're gonna get some baits set up. We netted some mullet inside. We have the Mullet Run going on. Better opportunity to grab some mullet inshore. We netted them really quick, brought them out here. You know, drop some flat lines, fly kite. It's kind of what you do, right? Cover some water.
Try to cover the whole water column up and down.
See if they're biting today. You know, Steve's a well-accomplished angler. You know, his bread and butter is probably offshore in the sailfish circuit. I've been following his posts for a while. This guy does really well in sail fishing. You know, but today we're gonna keep it pretty simple out here. You know, his plan was just to slow troll some live mullet out the back on circle hooks, and maybe just fly one kite. So just kind of keep it simple, real easy to do with light tackle gear, you know, stuff that we would use for snook and tarpon fishing inshore. We took it offshore looking for dolphin and sailfish. You know, conditions weren't perfect, but we got the spread out. It didn't take long, and we got the first bite on the kite bait. There he is. You got him?
Yeah.
Get that kite out of your way. That was a cool bite, man. That bait was going across the top there.
He's right there.
Is he?
Yeah, you
Gapper or flipper or?
see? He's a little one.
Ain't bad. A little dinner size. Ha ha! All right. After we caught that dolphin, you know, weather conditions deteriorated quickly. You know, looking at the radar, we had rain on top of us, we had bands. We probably were a little overambitious sitting out there like we did, but we thought we could stick it out, hope for another bite, even through the rain squalls, but just wasn't meant to be. As soon as we got a small break in the weather, we knew it'd probably be the best idea is to pick the stuff up and head inshore. The great thing about this Stuart area is you have a great offshore bite, but also inshore opportunities are vast. We got back into the St. Lucie Inlet just in time. Let me tell you, the winds went from 10 to 15 to 25 to 30 out of the north. Conditions really got bad. We took the opportunity, found a little island, decided to dry things off. And actually while we were sitting there, we saw these, you know, big old schools of mullet. We decided to refill the wells, you know, stock up on some bigger mullet. And let me tell you, at this time of the year in Stuart, in the southeast section of the Forum, it is just going off with the Mullet Run. This Mullet Run is absolutely incredible. You know, it starts all the way up the coast in the Carolinas, and you can follow it down the coast. You can follow the forums from the northeast to the east central. You know, the guys in the south are even waiting for this Mullet Run to occur. This is the time of the year you get these giant schools of silver mullet that are pushing down the beach. You know, you get these big schools of finger mullet in the rivers, and it's just an incredible time. It's like everything comes alive, everything's fattening up for the winter, and there's no better time to be here than right now. As soon as we pushed out of that little cut, and started heading along the shoreline, one thing became pretty clear is that Stuart is known for its snook fishing, and it's pretty obvious that the snook are everywhere. Unfortunately, the tide was coming in, the water was crystal clear, and it can be awfully tough to get these fish to feed on super clear water. But we know the fish are here, they're here fattening up, eating these mullet, but this would have been a better location on a falling tide with a little dirtier water. So we decided to change gears. These fish in this clear water just weren't gonna eat. We knew that this is a great time to take these mullet, head over to some seawalls and look for some snook and some jacks.
This segment is brought to you by Penn. Let the battle begin.
This seawall fishery is something that I know. I do it all the time. It's an incredible way to fish. It's so visual. You hear it, you see it. These mullet just go down a seawall and just get pounded by snook and jacks. Everything waits for these mullet to get on the wall, and they use that wall as an ambush point. It cuts off 180 degrees where a mullet cannot flee, and if that bait gets on that wall, there's a fish anywhere nearby, it's gonna get eaten. Tell everybody about this mullet run, Steve.
Well, it's a fall mullet run. It varies every year when it really takes place, but it's late August, September, and October. And the mullet just migrate back south down the beach. And they hit in all the inlets, and
everything's feeding on them.
Everything's feeding, everything's following them and feeding them.
Pretty magical time of the year, that's for sure. And you can get it in any section of, East Florida. It's just a matter of timing. Oh, I got something for you. Big old jack, I got something for you.
Is that yours?
No, but it's about to be.
That's a big old jack right there.
How do you not destroy mine?
Come on.
It's frustrating. It can be some frustrating fishing. When they won't want to get on that wall, man, and 2 feet away, they won't get eaten. A foot away, they won't get eaten.
And that's a fish. Oh, there he is. Get him out, get him out.
Oh! Good! Ooh, he's still in there feeding.
This is the best time of the year. The sights and sounds of fishing.
The fall mullet run, southeast section. Watch this, watch this.
Done.
Come on,
No.
don't let it go. Millions of mullet migrating down the beach, in the river.
Get up along those walls and it's just game on.
Pretty basic rig we're using out here today. 5500 series Spinfisher V. I have 50-pound braid. I doubled it up with a spider hitch. I'm using 50-pound Stren tinted fluorocarbon there. And just a live bait trocar hook. Pretty basic. What I like to do, and Steve does as well, is we hook these in the tail. And when you're mullet fishing on walls, you hook them in the tail because it makes them swim away from you. So just kind of back there by that top fin. I'm using a float more as an indicator so I know where my bait is. You don't have to.
That's a nice one. I think you got him. A little better fish? Looks like it.
Oh, that's a good snook right there. Oh, don't do that. That ain't a bad one.
That's a nice one.
Oh, look at that snook. Nice and dark. Look how dark he is back here in this dark water. Fattening up for the winter, those mullet. That's a keeper size fish right there. That could go in the cooler, but I think we're gonna let him go. We got a dolphin.
This segment is brought to you by Power Pole, swift, silent, secure.
Steve recommended that we make a move, head further up the St. Lucie River towards the Roosevelt Bridge. Now this is a famous location, known for its snook fishing, giant snook, and this time of the year we get some tarpon in there as well. I was excited about making the move and I knew it was going to produce. All right, so now we're at the Roosevelt Bridge. We've been pretty much weathered out most spots, blowing north at probably 20, 25. What do you think's going on for this spot? What are you thinking?
There's been some tarpon in here. Last week I came up here and there was a couple tarpon that I got blown up on real quick, and it's all tide dependent, but.
So this Roosevelt Bridge, this place is, famous for big snook. And the tarpon get up in here as well, but this is, it's just a funnel where these fish, you got to go back up into the St. Lucie, and the mullet pour in and out. We've had some water quality issues with discharge, but the fish are here. It's just a phenomenal fishery, a phenomenal place to fish. Steve's technique was to slow troll mullet out the back, similar to what we were doing offshore, but we're going to take these big 10, 12-inch mullet, put them on big trocar circle hooks, 8/0 circle hooks with 80-pound fluorocarbon leader, and just fish 2 lines. Just slow troll them around and hope for the tarpon bite. All right, with that big circle hook, all you want to do is just slow troll these baits. We're just going to toss them out the back. We fish these in gear. Not a super heavy drag, but enough. That circle hook's going to do everything, right, Steve?
Absolutely. Put it right in the Rodney rod holder, and
Rodney catches them all the time. Just be ready to pick it up. So how long have you been fishing this Stuart area?
well, I've been here about 30 years and probably been fishing since I came back from college, what, 20 years ago now?
And you mainly, you do a lot of the sailfish circuit, do a lot of the sailfish and bill fishing around here?
Yeah, I fish all the sailfish tournaments around here and offshore for Dolphin.
What we were trying to do this morning.
Exactly, yeah.
But obviously, you do a little inshore stuff too.
With this inshore bite in here, you have to.
And it's nice, you have the versatility that you can do both in this region, and not a lot of regions are like that, where you have the proximity of the Gulf Stream for pelagics offshore, but then, you know, such a good bite inshore. So I think that's truly unique to this area. Have the inshore fishery and the offshore fishery.
So it makes it so great. You know, you get weathered out like we did out there today, and you come back in here and...
Yeah, your day's not over. You keep fishing. We weren't there, I tell you, 5 minutes, and we got the first bite, and it was a violent one. Big fish! Big fish! Tip up! Big fish! Drop that battle in there, Steve. Sometimes you just time it right. This cold front just pushed through. We had to come off from offshore. It started blowing north at probably 20 to 25. Caught some snook on a seawall. Steve knew where those tarpon were right now with his Mullet Run. He's got a big fish on.
Not the longest fish in the world, but they're...
She is fat.
Oh yeah, baby! Wear your cell phone.
Really putting it to her. You know, watching Steve fight this tarpon, it's clear this guy knows how to fish. He fishes a lot of sailfish tournaments and wants to get the fishing quickly. He was putting a tremendous amount of heat on that fish and actually had him whoop pretty quick. We had, you know, the leader to the rod a couple times. Actually even got my hand on the leader once, but he had a big fish on.
She's right there.
Oh! Blowing up on foot-long mullet. You would never think they would eat mullet that big. This one just sounded like somebody threw a brick off of that bridge when it hit. That hurt her.
Here she comes.
There she goes. She did not like me.
Golly, George, you that ugly? Woo!
And Steve was putting a lot of heat on that fish. You know, even with the 80-pound leader, that fish ended up breaking us off, you know, right at the boat. But it's not a big deal. We got the leader released. I had the leader in my hand a couple times. And honestly, you know, what are you going to do with this fish when you get him boat side? You try to get a hold of him, get a quick picture. It can be pretty tough. You can actually get hurt doing it. So we were super happy with the jump set we got, you know, and it was a great fight. We immediately got the boat back in position and got our spread back out ready to fish. All right, here it is. 80-pound fluoro, 8/0 trocar circle hook. Big old 10-inch mullet, right in the mouth. Clear to scale. It wasn't 5 minutes we were fishing and we had the second tarpon bite. Let me get that one!
Get that one, get it, get it, get it!
We gotta go backwards. I don't know if she's gonna go around the bridge. Oh, yeah! Set back up, I swear. Less than 10 minutes, we're set back up. Hooked up again. Another big tarpon. Came all the way out of the water, ate the bait. You're going right, that's why I'm pulling her left. Always a good idea to, she goes one way, you pull her the other. Try to roll her up. Definitely not the size of your fish, but a good one, all the same. This dark tannic water, I mean, she's a foot under the water, you can barely see her. Just in here eating these 10, 12-inch mullet, just fattening up. We're just right in the middle of this mullet run. Just going insane. Southeast section, Florida Sportsman Forum, right now is the time to be here. You know, last month it was up in East Central, Northeast, the guys had these fish up there. Now it's our turn. You know, my tarpon had me stretched out far. We got back on him. The fish only jumped once or twice. I knew it was gonna be down and dirty, but you know, I eventually, pulled the hook on him. Oh, pulled the hook on her right there. Woo! We tarpon fished for a little bit longer, but the bite seemed to slow down. Decided to change gears again, head over some structure, some seawalls, look for some more snook and some jacks. We're tarpon fishing right over here. Saw these walls were just getting blown up. Decided to come over here, pitch a couple baits up against these walls. Snook, jacks, this place has everything. I think you got a bite. Got him?
Yeah.
What you got?
Got a fish.
A snook?
Got a snook.
All right. That ain't a
A
bad
baby
one.
snook.
Look at that, look at the size of the bait he ate. It had been a long day. From being offshore and that rain and then coming inshore in that wind, we were pretty much whooped, but we knew that the bite was happening. We decided that we were gonna go back out the next morning, but we're gonna call it a day for now.
This segment brought to you by Ray Marine Marine Electronics. Take the easy route with Ray Marine.
I'm gonna talk to you about wall fishing these mullet. Important thing is to hook them in the tail. What that does is it forces these mullet to swim away from you. I'm using a J hook. I prefer a J hook when I'm hooking these fish in the tail. I'm using a short section, a 50-pound fluorocarbon leader. I like to use a float more as an indicator of where my bait is. I position the boat parallel to the wall. I throw the bait in there. I want him right on the wall. If he's 3 feet off the wall, I'm gonna pick him up immediately, recast him in there. I get him to get on the wall, swims one way or the other, doesn't matter. I just want him to get on the wall and swim down the wall. Another option that you can use, especially early in the morning, is to position yourself parallel to the wall and throw a topwater plug. Acts exactly as if a mullet does. So I'll position the boat parallel to the wall. I want a nice close cast and just chug the bait right down the wall. They're gonna eat that just like they would mullet right on the wall. So 2 great techniques, live mullet on the wall, topwater plugs on the wall. I guarantee you'll get bit. Next morning we're greeted to perfect conditions. It's like night and day. The winds had calmed, the skies were clear. We decided to get some mullet and head back to right where we finished off. Once again, we're right in the middle of the mullet run. Bait is not an issue. It didn't take us long and we had our live wells filled with mullet. All right, day 2, had to come back. Weather's much better today, Steve. Winds dropped off. The bite was so good yesterday afternoon. Those tarpon, snook, we had to come back and do it again. We were getting the bites on the wall. I started fishing a point, and let me tell you, I had a snook come up. I've been snook fishing my whole life. I had a snook come up. It had to be pushing 30 plus pounds. I saw this fish come up, eat a mullet. Unfortunately though, I didn't get the hook in him.
Big snook?
Oh my God, if you saw the size of that snook. What I did notice on that snook though is that he rose off the bottom to come after that mullet. And it gave me an idea. I just threw a 1 ounce lead on there, made a quick knocker rig, grabbed another mullet, threw him over the side, and let me tell you, that bait did not get to the bottom and it got inhaled by another snook. Rodney, I got him.
That's a snook.
Get away from that wall. Oh, he's not that giant that I had before, but that's a nice keeper. There was one I just hooked that was twice this size. Look what I did. I switched over.
Here, I get it,
And you get him? Oh my God, he just tried to eat that bait. This place is going off. Look at this. You know what? They're coming off the bottom right now. Not super aggressive. Went ahead and put like just a knocker rig, sent that bait down. It took a minute with that weight on there to get that keeper size snook. And I hooked one that was twice that size just a minute prior. Big old trocar hook, Stuart snook. Yes. The fall mullet migration down the east coast of Florida is something everybody waits for. And Steve Butcher, AKA Full Coverage from the southeast section of the Florida Sportsman Forum, and I timed it just perfectly. Stuart, Florida is an absolutely incredible place to fish with its diverse waters. And Steve put me on a great bite. It was because of his post that I chose him to fish with. I need your reports to continue because I may fish with you next on Real Time Florida Sportsman. These snook really like this structure, and you really found it.
Yeah.
Easy meal. There you go. There you go. There you go. Easy meal. Oh. As one of our forum members calls it, that's a hog leg. That's a hog leg.